What if I told you that the difference between a life of victory and a life of destruction has nothing to do with your gifts, your IQ, or your connections? What if the thin line between men who rise into destiny and men who collapse into regret isn't talent or opportunity at all, but self-control? You can be the most anointed, the most ambitious, the most talented, and even the most prayed up. But if you lack self-control, everything can collapse in one decision, one compromise, one moment of weakness. Proverbs 25:28 says, "A person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls." In biblical times, a city without walls was a city exposed, vulnerable, and already defeated before an enemy even lifted a sword. That's what a lack of self-control does. It leaves you wide open for destruction. Self-control is not a suggestion. It's not an accessory. It's the fortress of your soul. Without it, your appetites master you. Without it, lust consumes you. Without it, gluttony ruins you. Without it, greed manipulates you. Without it, the enemy doesn't even have to fight. He just walks in and takes over. And yet the Bible tells us in Galatians 5:23, "But the Holy Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control." There is no law against these things. Notice that self-control is not a product of human willpower alone. It is a fruit of the Spirit, which means God has already placed within you the supernatural capacity to master your flesh, silence your cravings, resist temptation, and walk in victory. Today, we're going deep. While we desperately need self-control, what the Bible teaches, how it ties to discipline, why sins like gluttony are so destructive, and most importantly, how you can practically build a life that is locked in, spiritually, physically, mentally, and financially, through the Spirit's gift of self-control. This isn't just a teaching. This is war, because the battlefield of your life will be won or lost at the level of your self-control. Now let's talk about self-control as a fruit of the Spirit. Paul's letter to the Galatians makes it clear. Self-control is not just willpower. It is spirit power. Once again, Galatians 5:22 and 23 says, "But the Holy Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control." There is no law against these things. The world preaches self-help. The Bible preaches spirit help. True self-control doesn't come from sheer grit. It comes from surrender. It's birthed when the Spirit is alive in you. Grace trains us. Titus chapter 2, verses 11 and 12 says, "For the grace of God has been revealed, bringing salvation to all people, and we are instructed to turn from godless living and sinful pleasures. We should live in this evil world with wisdom, righteousness, and devotion to God." Grace doesn't just forgive us, it trains us. Grace empowers us to say no. Grace teaches us self-control. Without grace, discipline becomes religion. With grace, discipline becomes transformation. Self-control is greater than conquest. Proverbs 16:32 says, "Better to be patient than powerful. Better to have self-control than to conquer a city." The world crowns the conqueror. God crowns the man who conquers himself. Self-control is a greater achievement than military victory because it is the foundation of every victory. So, why do we need self-control? Well, number one, because sin is always crouching. Genesis 4:7 says, "You will be accepted if you do what is right, but if you refuse to do what is right, then watch out. Sin is crouching at the door, eager to control you, but you must subdue it and be its master." Sin doesn't sleep. Temptation doesn't take a day off. I'm sure y'all know that. If you are not actively mastering your flesh is actively mastering you. Number two, because the lack of self-control leads to ruin. Self-control is not about legalism. It's about survival. Without it, you destroy yourself. Proverbs 25:28 already told us no walls, no defense. Number three, because discipline determines destiny. Hebrews 12:11 says, "No discipline is enjoyable while it is happening. It's painful, but afterward there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way." Discipline is painful in the moment, but life-giving in the harvest. A lack of discipline feels good in the moment, but life-destroying in the harvest. Number 4, because the enemy exploits weakness. The devil doesn't need to outmuscle you. He only needs to expose your lack of self-control. Think of Samson, gifted with strength, anointed from birth, but destroyed because of uncontrolled lust. Judges 16, verses 20 and 21. Then she cried out, Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you. When he woke up, he thought, I will do as before and shake myself free. But he didn't realize the Lord had left him. So the Philistines captured him and gouged out his eyes. They took him to Gaza, where he was bound with bronze chains and forced to grind grain in the prison. Samson's downfall wasn't weakness of body, but weakness of self-control. A lot of us as men struggle with the same lack of self-control that Samson had. It's time to wake up. Now, the elephant in the room. We got to talk about gluttony. Gluttony is overindulgence, letting appetite become your master. It's not simply about eating too much once in a while. It's about a lifestyle of indulgence. Philippians 3 and 19 says, they are headed for destruction. Their God is their appetite. They brag about shameful things, and they think only about this life here on earth. When your stomach becomes your God, destruction is your destiny. The damaging consequences of gluttony. Physical consequences include obesity, diabetes, hypertension, fatigue, and premature death. Mental consequences are sluggishness, brain fog, depression, lack of clarity. Spiritually, your appetite becomes your idol, and you lose sensitivity to the spirit. Proverbs 23, verses 20 and 21 says, do not carouse with drunkards or feast with gluttons, for they are on their way to poverty, and too much sleep clothes them in rags. Gluttony leads to poverty, financial, physical, and spiritual. And we also got to look at the fact that gluttony is not just tied to eating. It's tied to over-scrolling, over-consuming bad content, over-consuming things that are not helpful to your life and to your spirit, to your eyes. Things that are feeding your flesh more than your inner man. So let's talk about some practical strategies so we can build our self-control. Number 1, submit to the Spirit daily. Romans 8 and 5 says, those who are dominated by the sinful nature think about sinful things. But those who are controlled by the Holy Spirit think about things that please the Spirit. You can't just win a battle of the flesh in the flesh. You need the Spirit. So you have to do things on a daily basis. You have to be reading your word on a daily basis, okay? Number 2, fasting and praying. Fasting trains your flesh to submit. Matthew 6 and 16 says, and when you fast, don't make it obvious as the hypocrites do. Fasting is not starvation. It is spirit elevation. Number 3, build physical discipline. 1 Corinthians 9 and 27 says, I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified. Paul understood that if his body ran his spirit, his calling would be destroyed. Number 4, avoid triggers and set boundaries. Proverbs 4 and 23 says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Guarding means building boundaries. You don't stumble into holiness, you structure it. Whatever in your life is triggering you to do the wrong thing, you must find a way to block it out your life as much as possible. You cannot count on willpower alone. Do yourself a favor. Number 5, replace bad habits with holy habits. Ephesians 4, 22 through 24 says, throw off your old sinful nature and your former way of life. Instead, let the Spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes. Put on your new nature, created to be like God, truly righteous and holy. So don't just stop doing wrong. Start doing more of what's right. Self-control is the inner engine. Discipline is the outer system. One without the other fails. Together, they make you unstoppable. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7 says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. Discipline is the proof of the Spirit's power at work in you. So, what are some of the rewards of self-control? Well, we get freedom from bondage. Romans 6 and 12 says, do not let sin control the way you live. Do not give in to sinful desires. Health and longevity. Proverbs 3, verses 7 and 8 says, don't be impressed with your own wisdom. Instead, fear the Lord and turn away from evil. Then you will have healing for your body and strength for your bones. Then spiritual power. James 4 and 7 says, So humble yourselves before God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. And then financial stability. Proverbs 21:20 says, the wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. It's pretty simple. Self-control is the firewall of your faith, the guardian of your destiny, and the foundation of your discipline. Without it, every gift becomes corrupted. With it, every area of your life can prosper. The question is not whether temptation will come. The question is whether you will stand or fall. The Holy Spirit within you has already given you the power to master your flesh, silence your cravings, resist the enemy, and walk in freedom. The choice is yours. Will you be a man with broken down walls or a man fortified by self-control? Galatians 5:23 declares that the Spirit produces self-control in you. It is already within your reach. All that's left is for you to walk in it. Don't forget, y'all, we locked in. It's due season. It's your boy, Carl Anthony. Let's try to exercise some self-control for the remainder of this year. All right, peace.